Look around. Everyone looks rich. Your friends are traveling. Your coworkers are upgrading their cars. People your age are buying homes. Instagram is full of rooftop dinners, luxury vacations, designer brands. And somehow, you feel behind. You feel like you missed something, like there's a secret everyone else understands, but you don't. But here's the truth no one says out loud. Most of it is fake. Not fake as in Photoshop. Fake as in financially fragile. In 2026, looking rich has never been easier. Actually being financially secure, that's becoming rarer every year. And if you've been quietly wondering, how is everyone affording this? This video is for you. Because you're not crazy, you're not lazy, and you're definitely not alone. What you're seeing is the greatest financial illusion of our generation. Your brain was never designed for this. For most of human history, you compared yourself to maybe 50 people. Your village, your neighborhood, your coworkers. Now, you compare yourself to millions, and not just their lives, but their highlight reels. In 2026, the average person sees more displays of wealth in 1 week than someone in 1995 saw in an entire year. Luxury apartments, crypto wins. Day in my life as a 27-year-old founder. Six-figure side hustles, casual $8,000 vacations. Your brain doesn't process this as marketing. It processes it as reality. And when you see enough of it, you start to believe, this is normal. This is where I should be. Everyone is ahead of me. But here's what's actually happening. You are comparing your full financial reality, your bills, your doubts, your bank balance, to someone else's curated illusion. And that creates something dangerous, status anxiety. A silent pressure that whispers, you're falling behind. Even if you're not. And once that pressure starts, you don't just feel behind. You start spending like you are. No one tells you to keep up. No one forces you to upgrade your phone or lease the nicer car or book the expensive trip. But the pressure is there, quiet, constant, subtle. In 2026, wealth isn't just about comfort anymore. It's about visibility. If you're not showing progress, it feels like you're standing still. And standing still feels like losing. So you start justifying it. It's only $400 a month. I deserve this. Everyone else is doing it. I'll make more next year. And slowly, your lifestyle begins to expand to match the image you think you need to maintain. Not because you're irresponsible, but because you don't want to feel left behind. This is how normal people with normal salaries end up living like they're richer than they actually are. And here's the dangerous part. The system makes it easy. Too easy. Because in 2026, you don't need money to look wealthy. You just need access to credit. There was a time when buying something meant you had the money for it. Now, it just means you qualified. In 2026, debt doesn't feel like debt anymore. It feels like convenience. Buy now, pay later, 0% financing, split in 4, low monthly payment, instant approval. No friction, no pause, no psychological pain. You don't see the total cost. You see the monthly number. $2,400 turns into $79 a month. $18,000 becomes $312. A $5,000 vacation becomes basically nothing, and your brain relaxes. Because it doesn't register $18,000. It registers $312. This is called payment abstraction, and it's one of the most powerful psychological tools in modern finance. When the pain of paying is delayed, your spending increases massively. So now people aren't asking, can I afford this? They're asking, can I afford the monthly version of this? That small shift has changed everything. Because you can look rich on borrowed time. And that illusion can last for years. Until the payments stack up, here's what you don't see on social media, the balances. In 2026, personal debt isn't just common, it's normalized. Credit cards, car loans, student loans, buy now, pay later plans, subscription stacks, personal loans, 0% financing deals that quietly reset. Individually, each one feels manageable. Together, they become heavy. But here's the twist. Most people carrying this debt don't look stressed. They still go out, still travel, still post, still upgrade, because the payments are structured to feel survivable. Minimum due, extended terms, refinance timelines. You can stretch almost anything over enough months. And that's the illusion. The lifestyle continues, but the margin disappears. One unexpected expense, one job disruption, one medical bill, and suddenly the entire structure shakes. This is why so many people in 2026 look comfortable, but privately feel anxious, because they are not financially free. They are financially committed to payments, to appearances, to maintaining the image, and the higher the image, the thinner the margin. Something changed over the last decade. Spending stopped being just financial. It became personal. In 2026, what you buy signals who you are. Your apartment isn't just where you live, it's your aesthetic. Your car isn't transportation, it's your ambition. Your watch isn't a tool, it's your status. And social media amplified this. Now, your purchases don't just affect your lifestyle, they affect your identity. You're not just buying shoes, you're buying belonging. You're not just leasing a car, you're leasing perception. And once spending becomes identity, cutting back feels like shrinking. Downgrading feels like failure. Staying the same feels like stagnation. So even when finances get tight, people protect the image first. Because losing the image feels worse than carrying the payment. This is how credit transformed from a financial tool into an emotional support system. It fills gaps, it hides insecurity, it buys temporary confidence, but it also creates quiet dependency. And the more your identity is tied to what you display, the harder it becomes to step off the treadmill. Because in 2026, wealth isn't just about what you have, it's about what others think you have. Here's something new about 2026. You don't need to own anything to look wealthy. You can lease the car, rent the apartment, finance the furniture, subscribe to the wardrobe, borrow the watch, Airbnb the lifestyle. Access replaced ownership, and visually, there's no difference. That luxury high-rise downtown, half the units are rented. That $90,000 car, leased. That designer outfit, returned tomorrow. But on camera, it looks identical to ownership, and social media doesn't show contracts, it shows angles. So now, appearing successful costs far less upfront. You don't need $500,000 in assets. You just need approval. Approval from the bank, approval from the credit system, approval from a rental platform. And because access is easier than ever, the line between wealthy and well-financed has blurred. This is the rental luxury illusion. It creates a world where everyone looks elevated, but very few are building long-term stability. Because ownership builds security, access builds appearance, and when appearance becomes the goal, stability quietly moves to the background. Scroll for 5 minutes, you'll see it. 19-year-old founder, built a six-figure agency from my laptop, quit my 9-to-5, made $12,000 this week with AI. In 2026, everyone looks like an entrepreneur. Everyone looks independent, location-free, unrestricted, financially ahead. But here's what's rarely discussed. Revenue is not profit. Screenshots are not bank statements. And online income is often inconsistent, unstable, and exaggerated. There's a new kind of performance happening. People aren't just showing wealth, they're showing entrepreneurial identity. Because being an employee now feels small, and being a founder feels powerful. So titles inflate. CEO of a one-person operation, agency owner with 2 clients, investor with a trading app. And again, visually, it looks convincing. A laptop in a cafe, a clean desk, a well-edited routine, a few Stripe notifications. But the reality behind many of these lives, unpredictable cash flow, no health care, no safety net, no stability, and sometimes debt funding the illusion. This doesn't mean real entrepreneurs don't exist. They do. But social media magnifies the outliers and hides the volatility. So when you scroll, it feels like everyone escaped, and you're the only one still inside. That perception changes how you see yourself, and it changes how you spend. There's another reason everyone looks richer in 2026. Technology has made success look effortless. With a few tools and a few clicks, anyone can produce content that looks professional. Luxury-style videos, clean home offices, perfect lighting, cinematic routines, even lifestyles can be simulated. AI-generated images, AI-edited videos, AI-enhanced voices, AI-written business stories. The line between documentation and fabrication has never been thinner. You can create the appearance of a high-end life without fully living it, and viewers often can't tell the difference. What used to require a production team now requires a laptop. What used to require wealth now requires software. So when you scroll, you aren't just comparing yourself to real people. Sometimes you're comparing yourself to engineered lifestyles, carefully optimized visuals designed to trigger admiration, and your brain still processes it as reality. It still tells you they're ahead, even when the image itself was partially manufactured. In 2026, illusion doesn't just come from spending, it comes from technology. And that makes the gap between what is seen and what is real wider than ever. There's a deeper layer to all of this. For many people in 2026, looking rich isn't just personal. It's profitable. Wealth became content, and content became income. Luxury apartments get views, nice cars get clicks, exotic trips get engagement, minimalist offices get followers, and followers turn into money, brand deals, affiliate links, courses, consultations, digital products. This created a strange feedback loop. People show success to generate income, and then use that income to keep showing success. Sometimes the lifestyle is real. But sometimes the lifestyle exists because it has to be filmed. The trip isn't just a vacation, it's content. The car isn't just transportation, it's branding. The apartment isn't just a home, it's a studio. And the audience rarely sees that difference. From the outside, it looks like effortless wealth. But behind the scenes, it's often a business model. Performance replaces reality. And once wealth becomes performance, the pressure to maintain the image never stops. Because if the image disappears, the income might disappear too. So the illusion continues, growing larger, looking more convincing every year. It doesn't just feel like everyone is rich. Your feed is designed to make it look that way. Algorithms don't show you reality. They show you what keeps you watching, and nothing captures attention like success. Nice houses, beautiful spaces, perfect routines, financial wins, lifestyle upgrades. These images trigger curiosity, admiration, sometimes envy, and the algorithm notices. So it shows you more wealth, more upgrades, more success stories. Slowly, your feed becomes a filtered version of the world where prosperity looks normal and struggle becomes invisible. But this isn't a balanced picture. Millions of people living ordinary financial lives don't get recommended. Quiet stability doesn't go viral. Responsible spending isn't exciting. Living within your means doesn't generate clicks. So the algorithm hides normal life and promotes exceptional life. After enough time, your brain stops seeing it as exceptional. It starts seeing it as average. And suddenly, your perfectly normal financial situation feels like failure. Not because you're doing badly, but because you're measuring yourself against a distorted world. This is where the illusion becomes personal. Because many people watching this aren't actually poor. They have stable jobs, steady income, a place to live, bills paid on time. On paper, they're doing fine, but it doesn't feel fine. Because in 2026, being stable doesn't look impressive anymore. A normal salary doesn't look successful. A normal apartment doesn't look aspirational. A normal life doesn't look like progress. And the gap between looking successful and being stable keeps getting wider. So even people earning decent money feel like they're falling behind, not because their life is getting worse, but because the visual standard keeps rising. 10 years ago, a reliable car and a small apartment looked like adulthood. Today, adulthood looks like luxury travel, high-end interiors, and multiple income streams. The expectations changed faster than incomes did. So the middle class lives in a strange position, too comfortable to qualify as struggling, too financially stretched to feel secure, and constantly exposed to lifestyles that seem just out of reach. That's why in 2026, many financially responsible people still feel poor, even when they're not. At first, it just feels like motivation. You see someone doing better and you think, I should work harder, I should do more, I should aim higher. But constant comparison doesn't stay motivational for long. Over time, it turns into quiet dissatisfaction. Nothing feels like enough, not the paycheck, not the apartment, not the progress you've made. Even your wins feel small when someone online is always doing more. And slowly, a dangerous belief forms. I should be further ahead by now. That sentence lives in the background. It follows you when you check your bank account, when you think about your career, when you plan your future. And the worst part is, you start blaming yourself. You assume the gap must be your fault, that you made the wrong decisions, chose the wrong career, missed the right opportunities. But what you rarely consider is this: you might not be behind. You might just be surrounded by unrealistic signals. Because when you constantly measure your life against amplified success, normal progress starts to feel like failure. And that feeling pushes people into decisions they normally wouldn't make. Once people start feeling behind, they stop talking honestly about money. Not because they want to lie, but because they feel embarrassed. No one wants to admit they're struggling with payments. No one wants to say their savings are smaller than expected. No one wants to explain that their salary barely stretches to the end of the month, so conversations stay on the surface. I'm doing good. Work is busy. Things are fine. And online, the pressure is even stronger. You don't post the declined transaction. You don't post the credit card balance. You don't post the financial stress at 2 a.m. You post the dinner, the trip, the upgrade, the progress. So everyone hides their reality at the exact same time, which creates a powerful illusion. It looks like everyone else is succeeding, and you're the only one struggling. But in reality, millions of people are carrying the same quiet stress, separately, silently. Because once financial struggle becomes shameful, honesty disappears, and the illusion becomes stronger than ever. Money has always been a private topic, but in 2026, silence around money has become even stronger, because struggle now feels like a personal failure. If success is everywhere, then difficulty must be your fault. At least that's how it feels. So people keep their worries to themselves. They don't talk about the rising rent, the shrinking savings, the unexpected bills. They don't admit that one missed paycheck would create serious problems. Instead, they keep performing stability. They show up to work, they go out with friends, they keep paying for the things they think they're supposed to afford. From the outside, everything looks normal, but underneath, many people are calculating constantly, checking balances, timing payments, delaying purchases, hoping nothing unexpected happens. This quiet financial tension rarely gets discussed, not because it's rare, but because almost everyone assumes they're the only one feeling it. And that silence protects the illusion. Because if everyone hides the pressure, success looks universal, even when it isn't. Behind the appearance of prosperity, there's something growing quietly in 2026. Financial stress. Not dramatic collapse, not visible crisis, just constant pressure, the kind that sits in the background of everyday life, thinking about bills before falling asleep, feeling tension when checking your bank app, doing mental math in the grocery store, hesitating before small purchases. It's subtle, but persistent. And what makes it powerful is how invisible it is. Two people can sit at the same table, order the same meal, smile through the same conversation, while one of them is silently worrying about the cost. Millions of people live like this, functioning normally on the outside while carrying quiet financial pressure inside. And because modern life still looks comfortable, streaming services, food delivery, new devices, weekend trips, the stress stays hidden. It doesn't look like hardship. It looks like normal life. But normal life is becoming more fragile, more dependent on steady income, more sensitive to disruption, and that fragility is rarely visible from the outside. Which is why the illusion continues, because stability looks identical to stress until something breaks. After seeing all of this, it's easy to assume that wealth today means bigger houses, better cars, and more impressive lifestyles. But real financial security looks very different. In fact, real wealth is often invisible. It doesn't always show up on social media. Real wealth looks like not worrying about unexpected expenses, having space between income and spending, being able to say no without financial consequences, sleeping at night without money on your mind. Real wealth is flexibility, options, time, the ability to handle surprises without panic. But those things are hard to photograph. You can't post a picture of low stress. You can't film financial stability. You can't turn peace of mind into a highlight reel. So the most valuable form of wealth rarely gets attention, while the most visible form often has the least stability behind it. And that's the final layer of the illusion. The people who look the richest are not always the most secure, and the people who look ordinary are often far more stable than they appear. Once you see the illusion, you can't unsee it. You start noticing the difference between appearance and stability, between access and ownership, between income and security. And escaping this illusion doesn't require becoming rich. It requires changing what you measure. Most people measure success visually. Bigger place, better car, nicer vacations, constant upgrades. But visual progress is not financial progress. Real progress often looks slower, quieter, less impressive from the outside. It looks like smaller upgrades, delayed gratification, living slightly below your means instead of slightly above them. It looks like saying no when everyone else is saying yes, and at first, that can feel uncomfortable, because you stop matching the pace you see around you. But over time, something changes. The pressure starts fading. Decisions become easier. Money becomes calmer, because instead of performing wealth, you begin building stability. And stability is what turns money from a source of stress into a source of freedom. If there's one thing to understand in 2026, it's this: looking rich and being secure are no longer the same thing. The world you see online is not a reliable measurement of progress. It's a performance, a filtered version of reality where the best moments get repeated and the difficult ones disappear. So if your life looks more ordinary, that doesn't mean you failed. If your progress feels slower, that doesn't mean you're losing. And if your finances look less impressive than what you see on your screen, that doesn't mean you're behind. It might just mean you're living in the real world. While much of what you see exists in a digital one, because in a time where appearance is easy to create, stability has become rare, and the people quietly building it often look the least impressive online. But years from now, they're usually the ones who end up truly secure. So the next time it feels like everyone around you is moving faster, pause for a moment and look closer. The new car might be a lease, the apartment might be temporary, the business might be unstable, the lifestyle might be financed, the success might be exaggerated, and some of it might exist only on a screen. Because in 2026, it has never been easier to look wealthy without actually being secure. But here's the part most people miss. You don't need to win the comparison game. You just need to escape it. Because the goal was never to look rich. The goal was always freedom. Freedom from constant pressure. Freedom from payments that control your choices. Freedom from needing approval to live your life. And that kind of wealth usually grows quietly, slowly, almost invisibly. No dramatic posts, no viral moments, no perfect highlights, just steady progress that no one applauds in real time. Until one day, the illusion stops mattering. Because while others were busy trying to look successful, you were building something real. And in a world full of financial illusions, that might be the rarest kind of wealth left.